After running a profitable bootstrap business in the high seven figures for many years, you've decided that you want to raise money from investors. What has changed that's made you want to change the way your business runs?
Yeah. Well, Sean, I mean, as you rightly said, we bootstrapped for a long period. It's been almost 10 years now since we started. We have customers across 30 countries now. 300 plus enterprises use our platform. Uh, the reason to go for a fundraise is to move fast. The world around us is changing now. A lot of stuff around AI. Uh, I think the SaaS platforms that will win with AI are the ones that have data across platforms. Data is really the true winner. And on top of that, a AI layer gives you a lot of insights. So the way we look at it with our platform is, if any given AI like Perplexity or ChatGPT is the AI for the world, because we serve brands and we have all the data from various data sources, we call it as AI for your world. So there are a lot of new innovations that are allowing us to build a lot of features around our platform. And of course, if you have to move fast, then funding is the way to go about it. I'm a big fan of Bootstrap. We have Bootstrap for all these years. Reached to a stage of about 8 million a year, and so definitely people look up to me as far as the Bootstrap story is concerned. But yeah, very keen on raising funds now and moving very fast.
Hey, business leaders and marketers, what if your brand could be featured right here? This ad spot could be yours. This channel is watched by a dedicated audience of ambitious founders, executives, and professionals who are actively looking for tools and services to help their business grow. If you want to put your brand in front of this highly dedicated audience that's difficult to reach, I'm currently looking for a few strategic partners for the channel. To learn more about sponsorship opportunities, click the link in the description. Let's grow together. So normally when someone looks to raise funds, it's because they believe that the market size is currently much larger than they're able to tap into, and that the funds will help them to either start new business lines or expand into new markets with a goal of exiting the business. I don't normally see someone raise funds and not have a plan to exit. So after running the business for 10 years, is that kind of your goal as well? Is you're looking for a way to exit?
See, with funding, what happens is it allows you to invest into a few things that does not have an, let's say, immediate paycheck, right? You can invest in your sales, you can invest in your marketing, and invest for 2 years from right now, right? So that's how we look at things. Now, exit is something that a lot of people plan, but the way I look at it is, if you start thinking about exit, then somewhere you are not focused on what you really want to build. If there is an opportunity that says, okay, fine, sell your business for say $100 million, it's a no brainer, and any entrepreneur will opt for it and figure it out. But to think of exit while you're executing your plan, I think it's just the thought process that takes you in other direction, and somewhere the focus on building the product and building the company, and a clear focus on the customers, it gets diverted a bit. So it's too early for us now to think about exit. Let's see where we go from here in next 5 years. We have a clear projection of where we want to reach. By 2032, we want to be around 100 million mark. That's the first goal. Let's see what happens on the way.
I'm torn here because I agree with you and I disagree with you. So I agree with you because if you look at some of the most successful business owners, they ran a company for decades, right? You look at Oracle, you look at Microsoft, you look at Apple, Facebook, etc., Meta. But then the conventional wisdom in more modern times is that if you start a business and you don't have a plan for exit, it's just a lifestyle business. And so for me, I see what I'm doing right now as something that I could see myself doing in 30 years. Now, is it going to be a billion dollar company? I don't know. I don't really care. It's not my focus. My focus is on doing something that I love, which is education. And so I like that you are trying to focus on running the business, but I also feel like you might be short sighted by not thinking about an exit. And I think it's okay to have an exit in mind while planning. So, like, I've spoken to people that have sold businesses where they said, my goal was never to sell the business, but I continued to build the business day after day, year after year, with no plan for an exit. And then there were opportunities that came around and I wasn't ready for it. And then it took me years longer to sell because it took me time to put together the documents, to have the advisors, to have the lawyers, to have this, to have that, to put everything together. So one of the guys I had interviewed a few years ago was doing 25 million a year for his business, and the business was about 25 years old. And he said it took about 2 years to sell the business because he didn't have anything in place in order to make that, happen. And so he regretted ignoring all of the signs that the business was something that could be sold, even though he loved what he was doing and he wanted to keep doing it. So maybe I'm saying something that resonates with you here.
Yeah, I mean, see, well, if you're funded, then obviously you have all the documents ready. You know, anytime an investor can come in, invest in your company, or if you're ready for exit, you have the documents ready. If you're purely a bootstrap company and raising it for the first time, then obviously you have to prepare those documents. You need to have an IB, working on your on your numbers, or you need to have a lawyer. But if you're at least Series A funded, then those things are much easier. But different thoughts, I mean, I never gave a thought to exit. In fact, we got one opportunity 2 years back from a very large contact center to sell our business. We didn't proceed that time. We didn't even discuss the numbers. They were interested, but we said we are not ready as yet. We still love what we're building. But on the way, you have to be flexible enough, as you rightly said. And if the opportunity comes, someone comes with a 100 million exit, founders have to be ready. But my way of looking at things is that if I give a thought to it, then probably I will divert myself from the core stuff that I'm building. And there's so much to build on the product. There's so much to work on AI innovations. We serve about 26 different industries, and that way the market is pretty big. When we look at a market across industries, we have very easily about at least 100,000 customers in some major markets to reach out to, even more than that. But the potential is big because every single BFSI or aviation, automobiles, fintech, edtech, QSR, any B2C brand is our potential customer. So I think that still excites us, that we can do business, we can build on the product. So as long as that passion is there, you love what you're doing, uh, then I think you need to keep that thought of exit a little away, just to be focused on what you're building and still loving what you're building. Because at the end of the day, I mean, if you end up with so much money, then the question is what to do with it. Right now the creation gives you that thrill. uh, Tomorrow when you're old enough, maybe consuming that much money will give you the thrill, but today, let's put it this way, what we are creating, we are enjoying that.
Yeah, I was gonna say if your business is doing 8 million a year, you're seeing like 750,000 dollars a month come into the bank account. So to go from that to raise 10 to 15 million dollars and now suddenly have this massive chunk of money that your business has never seen before at one time,
Yeah.
how is that going to impact the way you run the business? Is that going to change? Are you going to pay yourself more money? Are you going to, you know, how do you think that's going to change the daily operations and all that?
I know. I mean, see, the way to look at it is, still the money that comes from the customer is recurring money, right? If so let's say 800,000 is what we are getting per month, and if the investor money, if you divide it into 24 months, then half of that you'll be spending it, right? So it'll last for 24 months, and again you are a bootstrapped company relying on the customer money. That's how we look at it.
So you're basically buying growth. So it's like a loan in a way, except you're giving up equity. Because let's say, for example, if you have 800K a month and let's say you're spending 300,000 a month, and now you have an extra 400,000 a month that you can spend. So now you're spending 800 even though you have 1.2 available to you. And you're basically hoping that you're going to buy that growth so that within those 2 years, you're now going to be bringing in at least 1.2 million a month or 1.5 million a month so that you don't eat yourself.
If you're earning, so this is how I look at it. If you're earning $100, figure out way to spend 110. because there's no point profiting. You need to invest in growth, right? So you invest in more salespeople, you invest in building more product features, you add team to your product team or your marketing team. So growth is constant. Maybe when we start early and 100K a month looks big, but as you grow and you start earning 700K a month, for the fact that your expenses are going to be more than that. And you also have to have some cushion for some mistakes that you do, because early on, when you're a small company with, say, 20, 30 folks, you still have to take less decisions, which means you make fewer mistakes. But as you grow, today we are about 140 odd people. I wouldn't say that out of the 10 decisions that I take, if seven work, I'm great, but I do make mistakes, and those three mistakes can cost you. So it is always the fact that no matter how much money you make, you are always going to be short of some money. So if we make 700K a month right now, let's add 400K, we have 1.1 to spend going forward. Maybe 1.2, 1.3, but all that money will go into building the team, building the product, and bringing in more and more sales. So that's how you really have to project.
So you have this money that you can spend for the next 2 years. How quickly do you think you can see growth return from that?
Yeah. If you look at about, say, 70% CAGR, I think that's the good metric to have as far as the SaaS company is concerned. Can you have a growth of 90% and above is something that you should try. And of course, when you work on the financials, when you present to the investors, you have a very clear, numbers that you present. It's good to be conservative while you are presenting, but be much more aggressive when you're actually delivering. So obviously you need to have plan A, plan B, plan A to present it to the investors, and obviously doing much more than that as your real plan. So a SaaS product or a company really grows on partnerships, on ISV partnerships, a lot of integrations you build. You need to have your own salespeople on the ground. Today we have at least about a team of 10, which is outside the headquarters, spread across different regions, who drive sales at the same time, drive partnerships. They go for very big events, bring a lot of meetings. We close the account. So it's an ongoing process. I mean, if you look at the biggest SaaS companies like Salesforce and all, who do $37 billion a year, we obviously can learn few things from there, and do maybe 0.1% of what they're doing, getting inspired by them. So there are ways you execute plans in SaaS. It requires money, it requires people on ground. You have to invest in partnerships, events, marketing. So all that is a journey that will start now. I think reaching 8 million is a good mark, but I still believe it's just a start for us.
So I like what you were saying about salespeople. My cousin has this exact kind of job. He works for a SaaS company, and they're in high tech, and they're like an integration hub for businesses, and their job is to minimize the complexity of your integration, something like this. And so they're constantly sending him around the world to different conferences, specifically for building partnerships,
Yeah.
referral partnerships, things like that.
That's true. In fact, the way we look at conferences and events is it is more for partnerships than sales. Because if it's a large conference, there'll be so many potential customers coming there, and they're visiting every single booth. They'll definitely not remember you. But conferences are great for partnerships, and we have been to Jitex, we have been to Leap, we have been to Salesforce, Dreamforce, and over the years we have really made good partners because of these conferences.
Yeah, I have another cousin. She's a little bit older, and she also does conferences, and she makes really big deals happen in those things. So I've only ever been to one conference, and I was not really presenting. I had a company, so I went there with two of my team members, and it was very expensive, and nothing happened, and because we were a startup looking for funding from investors. Um, and it was like $15,000, and we got nothing back from it. Um,
No, that's it's very tiring. It's very tiring to be at conferences. Now I have learned that I'm not the best guy to go. So there are folks in our company who go and they strike partnerships. But here is what I've learned in conferences. You might plan to strike some deal or maybe some investments. You go with that goal that, if I spend 15,000, I'm going to make at least, 3x out of it. That over the years we have learned doesn't happen. So you have very low, ambitions and go for the conferences, and then you just expect some good results.
Hmm. So, what do you think is going to be the biggest expense from the money coming in for the investment?
Yeah, I mean, couple of things. One is definitely we are going to ramp up our sales team globally. Quite a few sales folks from our team are pretty experienced. They're 15 plus years experience. There's someone who is 20 years experience. They come from Salesforce, and they come from Freshworks and those kind of companies. It helps if you hire the right guy. Obviously, in a 6 months time, they are going to use their contacts and do sales for you. So you definitely need to hire the best of the people, but they don't come cheap. So a lot of money goes into the salespeople. At the same time, apart from hiring sales folks, we are looking at hiring the guys who have done partnerships for big companies. We know whom to hire really. So a lot of money will go in hiring. And apart from that, we are building something called as a Connect Research Cloud, which is an add-on to our AI features. So a lot of money is going to go on the AWS again, which is anyways the highest paying thing for any SaaS company. So typical, stuff, more on salespeople, more on AWS. I know what marketing works and what doesn't work in marketing. So we are not very keen on pushing money on ads. We obviously focus a lot on SEO and GEO for organic stuff, and at the same time, content, events, conferences. That's where that marketing really works. And over the years, I know for the fact that many SaaS companies raised money and they just blindly put it on Google and LinkedIn ads, and nothing really worked out for them. So definitely not putting a lot of money.
When I had a SaaS company that I had funded, I had no idea about ads and marketing. I know a lot more now, but I remember us thinking about ads, paid ads on Meta and all of that, and we had actually done an analysis and saw that the vast majority of the SaaS brands were losing money from doing it, and so we're like, okay, well, we need a better strategy. Unfortunately, we never got to launch and actually do those ads, but um, it was an interesting exercise nonetheless. So it's interesting that you had the same experience.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, what happens in SaaS is you still know what is your audience. You'll have the list of companies to reach out. You will know your ICPs. So there are better ABM strategies, account-based marketing strategies rather than just pushing the ads. So if you focus more on ABM with email, LinkedIn, and targeted ads for those folks on LinkedIn, I think that really works well compared to just go for the search ads.
You were saying that you make content. What kind of content are you guys making?
Yeah, in fact, a lot of that we focus a lot on videos. Every concept that we have, we try to really make very good videos, whether it is AI or whether it is customer experience management, social listening, uh, and there is also something called as a Connect Insights Academy where we teach how it works. It's there on Udemy. So that kind of content, we write a lot of blogs, white papers, case studies. So every single brand that we work with, we focus more on case studies. Now, today, if we talk about automobiles brands, there are about 22 automobile brands that we have. The easiest way to do sales is to talk about the success stories of their competitors and show it to them. I think we focus a lot on case studies. We focus a lot on videos, and we really make great videos. In fact, now we've started making videos with VO3 AI generated content, and simple concepts we are explaining via videos. So definitely my suggestion would be, focus a lot on videos. It's the best way to explain what you do, and to connect with your audience, and obviously work on case studies. Apart from your blogs, white papers, and stuff like that, focus a lot on case studies. That really helps.
So case studies are part of your like email campaigns with the people that are in your list. They're watching these AI created videos. This is all the same audience, or are these different audiences?
No. So once you make a case study, you obviously have different functions using it, right? Sales team can obviously, use it for their sales process. whereas ABM can use it for their purpose. Or we also have something called as CX Toolkit, which is uh, industry wise. So we work with about 26 industries. We have case studies for 26 industries. We have videos for those 26 industries. We have FAQs. We have industry benchmark reports. It's all consolidated in one page with one master link, and it goes on to different links from there on. So those can be used. We again, it can be used on social media. You can tag the brands on Twitter and give a link of the case study. So different ways of marketing. If it is an ABM campaign, obviously a third email will have the link for the CX toolkit. So you have to work on different strategies. But as long as you have created something for the industry, which is a case study or a video or maybe a benchmark report, it works well because if I'm the one who is a buyer, I obviously don't want to know about the product, but I want to know what the industry is doing, what my competitors are doing, what are the right numbers. One of the things that because we are into the CX space, right? Every brand has their own numbers, like what is my CSAT, what is my TAT, what is my sentiment analysis, what different product categories people talk. But when they present that report to their managers or CMO, obviously they want to also see what the industry is doing. Because if my CSAT shows 3.8, what is the industry benchmark? Is 3.8 a good number or a bad number, right? So uh, creating those industry benchmark reports really help. It's all part of your content marketing. And first thing is to focus with a simple idea that if I am the consumer of it, what kind of metrics I would like to see. Uh, and anything to do with marketing or sales is always a buying process. It is never a sales process. So as long as you understand what the buyers want, you will always write in the whatever content comes or whatever marketing strategies you make, it will be always in the right direction as long as you understand it's a buying process.
Has there been anything that you've done in the last 10 years where you put it in place and then maybe not instantly, because I know sometimes it takes time with business, but something that really just made your business blow up in a good way?
Okay. Uh, I mean, hard to think in that direction. Like, we did something and suddenly it gave us results. It hardly happens in that fashion. You really have to wait for it. Um, and everything contributes to something. Like, you hire salespeople, you invest in some tech, you build on a feature, you make a video. I've still not seen that day where I thought that this video is going to go viral and everybody's going to love it. It just hasn't happened for us as yet. But it's always a slow and steady progress that we have seen, not something that has instantly worked for us. With many videos, I do think sometimes this is going to be a viral kind of thing. Maybe my Connect Insights Academy, everybody's going to love it, but it is always a gradual process. It's never been like an instant result. I haven't seen as yet.
Have you ever done anything that's instantly hurt the business?
That many many things. That is straightforward, like something. And you make mistakes and you learn through that process, whether it has to do with your product or sales or marketing. A lot of things will fail. It is only then you'll succeed. If I have to give an example of a soccer game, right? How many times do you make efforts to score a goal, but then end result looks like 1-0 or 2-0, but the shots that you attempted are so many, so you always fail more than you succeed. That's how the life will always be.
What's been the hardest part of your journey over the last 10 years?
Hardest. Um Well, it's always up and down. There are days when you're very happy in a week, and there are times when things don't work in your way. Uh, as a bootstrapped company, you always know, right? Now, I mean, its first 4 or 5 years are very tough. You hardly make any money for yourself or even for your team. There are a lot of ideas in your head that you want to implement, but you cannot because of the shortage of money. So a usual bootstrap company will always be, this is what we need to do, but we cannot execute because we do not have enough money. And that's been the thing for last 10 years. But it's a good thing, and it's a good practice. As we are funded, we have enough money. We will obviously value that time when we hadn't had enough money. And either ways, the company always runs on customers' money. Whether you're funded or not, well, funding money will last for some time. Then you'll again go for a second round. It's not how the business is scaled. The business is scaled purely on customers' money, and that's a good practice we are into. We know that if you have to run this show, it'll always be on the customer's money. So the toughest part of our life is always going to help us going forward.
Hmm. Yeah, it's important to have that understanding that the business is run from the customer's revenue, and having that money is something nice. The money that you're raising now, it's nice to have that money
Yeah.
because it allows you to do more. But because you have years of discipline, you're not going to waste it. I think a lot of startups fail because the founders have never seen more than a few $1,000s at a time in their personal life. And now they have a check for $1 million, 2, 5, 10 million. And they're like, oh, I'm rich, right? They don't understand that this isn't your money. And I think one of the problems that I had with my tech company was that I was coming off of a massive win from my previous company and had a lot of money that was liquid. And so I thought I can invest this money into this idea. And I didn't know what I didn't know. And I spent a lot more than I planned on. And by the end of it, I was already starting to raise money from investors, and I was feeling the pain from having spent so much of my money on this idea. And I think if I didn't have that money, I would have had to learn how to be constrained by money in order to be able to grow like you did. But because I had money and it was my money to do what I wanted with, I made bad decisions around spending that money. Even though, like, in my personal life, I was smart with the money. With the business, it was like, whoa, we need this. All right, well, let's spend it. Oh, we need this. Okay, let's spend it. And so I spent more money than I should have, faster than I should have. And once it's out of your hands, it's gone, because that was a pre-launch, pre-revenue business. So there was no money to replace that money. So I think that was one of the biggest mistakes that I made in doing that.
Okay. Yeah.
So I think it's better to be in your situation where you've bootstrapped, you've built discipline, you have cash flow, and now you can go and actually raise.
Yeah. Let's see how things pan out. And obviously a lot depends on the market as well. I mean, you need to be relevant in the market. You can have the best product, the best teams, and the best ideas how to execute it, but you always have to be two steps ahead of how things are changing, and things are very changing very fast these days. So that's another challenge. How to be, not only be relevant, but also uh, be unbeatable.
For sure. What's the most important thing you've learned in your life so far?
Well, of course, we go through a lot of pressure building the company. What I've learned is, uh, at the end of the day, you should enjoy what you're doing, and you can only do so much in a day. So don't stress out. Uh, have a good sleep. Come back, and again, do your best in a day. So at the end of the day, it is a yearly plan that comes down to quarters, to months, 2 weeks, and finally it's a day that you have in your hand. So don't stress out too much, but do your best in that day. I think keeping things simple, enjoying your life, and it's not just the work that matters. You have your own personal life. Spend time with your friends, families, children. These days are not going to come back, so don't give your best part of your life just for the passion that you have. Apart from that, live your usual life as well.
Thanks for watching. If you liked this insight, I've handpicked another video for you right here on the screen. For more actionable strategies that get you real results, hit subscribe.